All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Conn Iggulden's War of the Roses, Stormbird. This is book #1 in his 4-book series about the War of the Roses. I've got the other 3 books right here. 1, 2, 3. And I promised you a week ago that in my TBR or not to TBR video for the month of October 2025, I promised you that I may or may not read these 4 books in this series, the Conn Iggulden War of the Roses series. We're at book #1. Hopefully we can get through all books this month. Now, before I talk about this book, I want to talk about The War of the Roses by Dan Jones, which is a book I read and reviewed about a week ago. If you want to watch that review, you know how to find it. But anyway, this is a historical nonfiction work about the War of the Roses, which I read previous to this series because I wanted to get the inside, true-to-life, real scoop on all of the characters that were going to be in this fictional retelling of the War of the Roses. And so let's talk about this book. Aesthetically, it's great. I think all these books are designed really well. I like the cover. I kind of like the way it is set up. There's maps everywhere in the book. There are little bits and pieces of artwork all over the place. More maps. Let's see, we've got on the back here, we've got all the royal lines of all of our characters that were in the War of the Roses and their family crests and the lineage chart. And there's more lineage charts inside the novel. Like there's just lineage chart after lineage chart, map after map. The book has got a lot of detail, more lineage charts. Every page I open, there's more lineage charts. Open another page, we got more lineage charts. We open it up and, okay, so then we're to the prologue, which starts in 1377. So this is a well put together book. Kind of the War of the Roses kind of became like a little bit more well known after Game of Thrones came out, because George R.R. Martin said that he based his story, Song of Ice and Fire, kind of off of what was going on with the War of the Roses. So that's kind of what it is. A lot of people got their introduction to that part of British history through Game of Thrones. Interesting little fact. Now, so what is the War of the Roses? It's a war between the Yorks and the Yorks. Well, basically anybody. It's a war between the Yorks and anyone who wasn't part of the Yorks. But really, it was kind of a clash between a lot of different royal lineage families that were all kind of tied together anyway. They're all kind of part of each other's bloodlines a little bit. But one of the things about this book, and comparing it to the actual history, and I will be straightforward because Conn Iggulden was straightforward with, this is a fictional retelling of the actual events. This is a book based on actual events, but is not trying to be an accurate retelling of accurate events, but he's doing the best he can. But he does mention he took artistic license in a lot of different spots. And that's fine. He wanted to make the story his own. So who are the main players in the War of the Roses? Well, we've got House York, the House of York, the House of Lancaster, which, we got the lineage charts for all of that. I just showed you. The House of Neville and the House of Beaufort. And it's an exhausting, tangled web of a family tree between all of these. And I just stopped looking at the lineage charts because it was just getting me more confused. I can't follow all of this, especially when everybody's named the same thing. When there's 15 Henrys in the lineage chart of everybody, and 15 Edwards and Richards and yada yada. It just became, like I said, it's an exhausting list of family trees. Anyway, the prologue starts in 1377. The death of Edward III That's kind of marks the end of the Plantagenet reign. I know I say that wrong, everybody. People in the comments of my reviews of the book The Plantagenets try to teach me how to phonetically say that, and I don't know how to do that. So it's Plantagenet. To me, it's the Plantagenets. The end of their reign marks the beginning of the War of the Roses. 1443, we jump to 1443, 66 years later, after the prologue. The great Lion of England, Henry V, is long dead. He was a warrior. His son, Henry VI, and now sits the Lancaster throne. The king that sits the throne of Lancaster. He's nicknamed the Lamb because he's young. He's kind of pious and genteel in nature. He's frail and poor of health. And there are a lot of people that think that's not the way a king should be. But he is he's got to marry somebody. He's to wed the young Margaret of Anjou, and so that's where the book starts. And we get the perspectives of Henry VI and Margaret of Anjou as they prepare for this wedding that's going to combine, two great houses or whatever. And it's everybody's related to everybody anyway back then. So especially in the royalty. But anyway, we also get the perspectives to start this book with a couple of other characters, the Spymaster Brewer and William, Duke of Suffolk. And these guys, I'll be honest, these guys take up about 50% of the narration. I mean, we see most of the events of the book through the eyes of the Spymaster Brewer and William, Duke of Suffolk. And when we do get bits and pieces told from Margaret of Anjou's perspective or Henry VI, it seems like these other characters are also in those scenes too. So it's kind of like I think Conn Iggulden was trying to tell the story from the perspective of more of the common folk. And it does seem like that, and toward at the end afterward, these people were real. It's not like he just made these people up and placed them in the story. They are actual people that were involved in this whole War of the Roses thing. Anyway, there's those such as Richard, the Duke of York. So King Henry the Sixth is from Lancaster side. The Duke of York is Richard, and he believes that England must be ruled by someone with a stronger hand than a king called the Lamb. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, he's got a point. Do we want to be ruled by someone whose nickname is the Lamb, or Sleepy Joe, or you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. I mean, strength. And so who trusts who? Now we've got this Stark versus Lannister, the Yorks versus the Lancasters. Half the time, like I said, is spent with these peripheral characters, which actually is a good idea for the book because it kind of fills in a lot of the gaps in history. One of the criticisms I have of this book is that even though it's 4 books long, the series of the War of the Roses is 4 books, and each one's about 500 pages. I still felt like we were speeding through the story at a breakneck pace. Like we needed to slow down and spend a little more time with these people and their conflicts and what was going on. I didn't feel like I really got a good idea of how do you do it though? How do you break down a 100-year war into 4 books and give everything that's involved with that war? It's just sort of, how can everything be on stage for the appropriate amount of time? That's all I'm saying. And so Conn Iggulden's doing his best, and he did a pretty good job. The great Lion of England, King Henry V, is dead. The Lamb, his son, is famed more for his, kind of being kind of a nice guy. His poor health and frailty. He's a weakling king. I'm kind of paraphrasing some of the stuff in the jacket copy. And then of course I mentioned Derry and William, and and then we've got Richard of York, who believes that he needs to be the king instead. And that's kind of the the main plot of what's going on in here. I mean, I don't want to give away the endings and stuff. I mean, if you want the ending, it's a historical. It's his history. But things happen. I was kind of like, what do I really think of this? I would give this. I just wish there were more of it, and I know there's more of it coming. I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. A pretty good review of the book. Well, and we'll see. Maybe more of what I want will be in the other 3 books. We'll see.